It's a huge difference stepping into a shop here in Belgium, ready to buy something and to make the same exercise in Portugal. In Portugal, there's always a smile. And it's true, it's coming from their heart. You go once or twice to the same restaurant. The third time you go, you are like family almost. And that you don't have in Belgium, for example. It's a completely different way of life. I'm Patrick Schoumans. Today I'm the guest in Dylan's podcast. I'm from Flanders, more precisely from the Pajottenland. It's a nice piece of a nice region in Belgium, and for me it's one of the nicest regions. It's close to Brussels, but it's a green region. I'm married and I have 2 adult daughters and 3 grandchildren, Ella, Lucy, and Brick. Since a few years, I'm retired as an official of an international organization. And before I was working as a bank manager in Belgium. And since I am retired, I started writing books, more precisely thrillers. And today, I'm the latest guest on Portugal's The Simple Life podcast with Dylan. And I will talk to Dylan and I will explain him why I love Portugal and more precisely why I lost my heart to the Silver Coast. And I have to precise that the Silver Coast today has been my favorite writer's retreat where I can find the time and the inspiration to write my books.
Welcome back, or welcome to another edition of Portugal The Simple Life, another episode of Portugal The Simple Life, and a special edition of My Home in Portugal. I'm really delighted to be joined here by Patrick Schoumans. Patrick, good morning or good afternoon, boa tarde. Thank you for being on the podcast. How are you?
Fine, boa tarde, Dylan. I'm fine. The weather is rainy and gray here in Belgium, but so I'm missing a little bit the good vibes from Portugal.
Yes, I don't want to make you depressed or anything, so we won't talk about what the weather is like today here on the Silver Coast. But we were talking before the interview started about how the sunshine makes a huge difference for our state of our mood, our state of being, right?
Yeah. And I must say today that all the Portuguese that I met during my long career of 28 years, they all became friends. Those people were always very friendly and they were hardworking. That's the only thing I can say. It can only be positive. And I can only confirm now, after knowing now Portugal better during 7 years already, I can only confirm that it's also the case for the rest of the country.
Yeah. Why do you think they are so friendly, welcoming, unique in this way?
I don't really know, but I think it's a lifestyle in Portugal. It's a huge difference stepping into a shop here in Belgium, ready to buy something and to make the same exercise in Portugal. In Portugal, there's always a smile. And it's true, it's coming from their heart. You go once or twice to the same restaurant. The third time you go, you are like family almost. And that you don't have in Belgium, for example. It's a completely different way of life.
But just maybe talk us through the process, because now you were looking at a plot of land and nothing is there yet. Maybe take us through your experience of the kind of the process of getting started and how that all was for you and your wife.
Yeah. First, I will tell you an anecdote.
Sure.
When I came the first time to the Silver Coast, and the lady of Imo Portugal spent 5 hours showing us several projects and the hidden gems of the Silver Coast. When we were back home, my wife said to me, "Hey, Patrick, you will see. She will call you every week to see if you made up your mind." You know what? She never called us. She never called us. I had to call her in September to fix a second appointment. So the policy of Imo Portugal, I think, is not quantity, but quality. They only act when you are ready for it. When you say, okay, I'm ready, I'm open to get extra information. And that was a very positive aspect.
You've gone from first seeing things on 3D images and plans. You've now built and got a feeling for a location. How the process works for people listening is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you bought the plot, you signed a contract with the builder from Pressprop, who's also part of the group, and you started building. You then had to wait for the house to get built, but along the way you dealt with professionals and project managers who assisted you. Just take us through that experience for you and how important that was in the process.
Well, first of all, when you are a foreigner and you want to buy or to build a house, it's a big question mark. It's a big question mark on the legal basis. It's a big question mark on the administrative basis. And there, Immo Portugal guided us to a solicitor in Caldas da Rainha, who smoothly arranged everything for us. We had no worries. And on top of that, there was an extra guarantee because you mentioned it yourself. We bought immediately the land. We were immediately the owner of the land. And that's a big difference with other builders in Portugal, where you become only the owner when the construction is finished. Yeah. Meaning that when your builder goes bankrupt in the middle of the process, you have nothing, although that you invested already money. That was not the case with Immo Portugal. We were immediately the owner of the land, so we had that guarantee, and that's a tremendous advantage, I think. Then during the process of building, I've only one word to describe it. It was fantastic. I will mention their names because they merit it. We had a very good contact with Luis Cardoso and Denise Vieira from a company from your group, the Leisure Lounge Group. I have to say that they always had a listening ear to our wishes, to our plans, to our problems, because in every construction you have sometimes a small problem that needs to be solved. Well, they were always there. They sent us on regular basis the pictures, how the construction continued, and so we always had a guarantee that what we were paying for the work was done. And that's an enormous advantage.
Looking for a home in Portugal? This break in Portugal, the Simple Life podcast, is brought to you by Dylan and his team of certified realtors at Portugal Realty. Portugal Realty offers the exclusive Simple Life home buyer program. Visit portugalrealty.com today and book your free call to find out more. Welcome to the Simple Life.
And to give you some idea, Luis and Denise were always there, not only during the building process, but they were also there in the 5 years following the end of the building. And that's also very positive. Even more, I would say, we are now almost 7 years after we first met Luis, for example. And recently I was in Portugal and we were in a restaurant. And who was sitting there at the table? Luis Cardoso and a company. And Luis he came to our table and said, "Hey, Patrick, hey, Vivian, how are you? Can you imagine a manager after 7 years having hundreds of clients who still knows you after 7 years and who still takes the effort to come and say hello?" I don't know many, but that is Luis, and that is Denise also, because they are always as friendly as possible and they always try to help you further. Mm-hmm. And that's only one reaction that I can have. That is fantastic. You have a fantastic team there.
How was the feeling? Can you tell us about how it was the first time you walked into the house and started to use it, and after imagining what it would be like to have this house and use this house? How was that feeling for you the first time that you and your family started using the property?
Well, we came by surprise, and Luis and Denise did not know that we would come. But when we arrived with the car in front of the house was already completely finished, and they were all cleaning up the end cleaning before handing the house over to the owners. And we were happily surprised because it was more than we expected.
Tell us a little bit about your books. I'm excited to know more.
It was in March 22. when we could again travel, we escaped to Portugal, to our house. And there I started writing my first book, which is Wraakzomer. It's written in Dutch. It's a story, it's a thriller with some murdering.
Okay.
So my book was published in summer 23, but I got already before so many positive reactions about it that during my month stay in June in 23, I started to write already in Portugal, in Óbidos, the second book. And the second book, the title will not surprise you probably, because I like Portugal a lot. The title is The Portuguese Connection. In fact, it's also a thriller. It's a story that starts in Flanders, but it reaches its climax on the Silver Coast.
Okay.
I describe also a little bit Portugal, the simple life in my second book. What are the hidden gems that they can find on the Silver Coast? What cultural things you can see? Even some good addresses of restaurants in the neighborhood you can find in my book when you read my book. So I will bring my reader who is in the Netherlands or in Flanders, and who is in the situation that I was myself in 2016, not having a clue what is the Silver Coast or what can you find in the Silver Coast. When they read my book, they will know much more than I knew when I came for the first time to Portugal.
You mentioned how in the book you've got tips on restaurants and things like that. We know, and it's been spoken about so much on the podcast, how wonderful the food is in Portugal. You also mentioned previously how your wife, when you thought about this idea of having a holiday home, that she thought, oh, I'm going to need to cook. It hasn't maybe been the case. There's so many good places to go out and eat, even in our little village.
Yeah.
How has your experience been of the food?
Fantastic. We have 4 or 5 restaurants that we visit every time. It is like I said before, every time you go, it's like meeting family almost. Even if it's because we go 4 or 5 times per year to Portugal. So sometimes there's 2 months or 3 months in between that they don't see us. But every time you come, and it's like yesterday, that you arrive, and you are always well served and with a smile. And that's a difference here with what we have in Belgium.
Patrick, what's one thing that you would like people to remember and to take away from our conversation?
The only thing that I want to tell to the people who listen or who look to the podcast is that Portugal is the ideal place to de-stress. If you take a bag, you put the sunshine, you put the nice beaches, the wild ocean, the stress-less way of life, the culinary delights that you find, the friendly people. You close the bag, you shake it, and when you open it, the Silver Coast will emerge.
I like that. Well, I mean, you might have answered this question already, Patrick, but why does Portugal feel like home?
Because you have all those advantages. People are friendly. You have no stress, and it starts already when you take the car from Lisbon Airport to the Silver Coast. Once you are passing Loures, the stress is gone. You have no stress, not on the road, not in the traffic. In the shops, it's the same thing. People are friendly everywhere. Where you live in Bairro Senhora da Luz, it's calm, it's peaceful. You want to go to the beach, it's not far away, and you have plenty of choice of beaches, and nice beaches, like you say, like Foz de Areio, San Martino. You know, when I come by plane already from Brussels to Lisbon, I always try to take a seat at the right side of the plane. Yeah. Because every time I see the special form of the beach in San Martino, the shell, you see it from the plane.
Wonderful, yeah. Well, I'm delighted that this has been a wonderful journey for you. I'm also very happy that we're neighbors. So, Patrick, thank you for being on the podcast.
It's my pleasure. It's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it, it's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.